So to do this with me, we have a lead discussant who would give us an overview of the topic that we have in discussions on. And would call him on stage. And he's a very fine gentleman. When you see him, you know that definitely he's a salesperson anyways. So please get your questions and other things ready. Put it in your diary. And then we'll do the questions and the answers. So to do the lead discussion is Paul Dowuona Norte, or Paul Norte Dowuona. How am I mentioned that? Paul, please join me upstage. He's the managing director for All Foods Ghana. I hope I mentioned it correctly. No, you do the discussion, so please come. Yes, come closer to me. You know, a senior salesperson, so I need to draw some inspiration. Paul, should I give a brief intro of you, or you do it yourself? Let's do it. Just 1 minute. I won't talk much. Right. We want to do it fast, and so please give it up for Paul to take us through the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Paul, as she said, Paul Dowuona, and I'm MD for the Ireland Ghana business. I also oversee the export business for Ireland in West Africa. Previous work experience, I started with Nestle. I did about 10 years in Nestle, and I also did 3 years in Arfield. Arfield bought the Blue Band business from Unilever. So far, at least I've done some 16 years at the school level. We are still Thank you very much. We'll try and make this as very interactive as possible, even with the slides I'm going to share, because the topic that we have, as we see it here, is a very interesting topic. Somebody will say, what has sustainability got to do with competitiveness? Because everything sustainability has to do with money. And in competition means that things are tight, things are difficult, so the people are wondering, where are we going to cut to put into that to be able to do things sustainably. So when I looked at the topic, like sustainable sales practices in a competitive FMCG space, trust me, as we all seated here as salespeople, we are in tough times. We are in very interesting times as a country. I was just sharing with my friends here that it's a difficult time to be a business leader in Ghana, because every day you wake up and you have to look at your numbers and you are wondering what question your boss will be asking you and how you're going to answer the question, because it's like things are not so steady. And then you wake up and you say you have to do things sustainably, because now sustainability is a huge topic. In Europe, it's a big deal, and it's coming into Africa as well, where people are expected to do things in a way that reduce CO2 emissions and all of them. Yes, in West Africa, and maybe in particular Ghana, it's not much of a big deal. But in Europe, for example, in Arla, where I work, which is headquartered in Denmark, the business is measured on the amount of CO2 emissions. So if you're able to cut it down by a certain level, you are graded and you are given some score. So it's a big deal in Europe. And I know that for those of you who work with the multinationals coming from Europe and America, it's something that is also a big deal for them. So we need to, whether we like it or not, it's like the end time. There will come a time when you're working on it to be done. Same way sustainability will catch up with us. So the earlier you get used to it, the better. So that's what we're going to try to talk about this afternoon. And I have 4 other people who also talk on various topics as well. So please, let's keep the questions coming, and let's even hear of suggestions and solutions from you as well, because we are all here to share ideas and to learn from each other. So let me start. A few definitions, obviously. We need to have a common platform to work with. So we want to talk about sustainability and what sustainability is about. Sustainable sales practices can be defined as strategies that focus on long-term growth and success rather than short-term sales targets. Every salesperson knows that you are as good as your numbers. When the month begins, 1st of August, whatever you did on the 1st of July is gone. Nobody cares about it, because at the end of the day, that's gone. You are now being measured for the month of August. But when we talk about sustainable sales practices, we don't look that we don't look at 31st or 30th when you're on the edge, or cringy, you don't know what to do. Sustainable sales practice looks beyond just a short-term target achievement, short-term numbers. It looks beyond that because we need to look long-term. Because when you are putting in those practices, it is expected that you will make gains over a period of time, and not today for today. You need to put in practices, or these practices that will give you results over a period of time. So that is the first definition. Unlike traditional sales practices, sustainable practices aim to create a balance between achieving sales targets and maintaining a healthy business environment. I'm sure we've heard of the talk of plastics and all of them. Recently, there was talk of imposition of some taxes on plastics, and then it was a big deal. Everybody was, yes, because we all knew that definitely if government imposes taxes on plastics, things are going to be expensive, right from our sachet water that we take in. But then when we talk about sustainable sales practices, we look beyond the targets, and then we are looking at what we do to have a healthy business environment. Still on the definition. When we talk about sustainable sales practices, it involves ethical business conduct, effective and optimal use of resources, and strong focus on customer satisfaction. Nowadays, everybody is trying to be healthy. We all know that at the end will come, but nobody wants to die now. I was at the funeral some time ago, and the man of God asked like, okay, the guy lying there, so who is next? Ask your brother who is next. Everybody was like, who is next? Nobody wants to die. So everybody wants to live healthy. Everybody wants to live long. So when we talk about sustainable sales practices, we need to also work in an ethical business. We need to work in an ethical way, as well as ensuring that the customer or the consumer that we are serving is also satisfied. The last definition: sustainable sales practice in the Fmcg sector involves that not only drive sales, but also promote environmental, social, and economic sustainability. These practices are increasingly important as consumers, regulators, and stakeholders demand more responsible business operations. Not just you as the customer or the consumer, but even the regulator is now very conscious. So today, those of you who are working in the manufacturing sector, you see that either you get FDA coming, factory inspectors coming, GSA coming. Everybody is trying to, of course, there are excesses, but they're trying to ensure that we are working within a safe environment. So these are just about the definitions. Of course, when we talk about sustainability, there are some key elements. And for us as salespeople, there are some key elements that impact sustainable sales practices. One is ethical business conduct. You cannot talk about sustainability when you are doing things in crooked ways. At least you need to uphold ethics. So it involves conducting your business in an ethical and transparent manner. Where when FDA is coming, you will not have to shut down, or you don't have to go and pass behind the scenes and then go and make some payments here and there. No. If you want to operate sustainable sales practices, it involves operating ethically and transparently. I know times are tough, as I began by saying, but then in the era or where we are heading to do things sustainably, we need to operate in an ethical and transparent manner. It also involves efficient use of resources to reduce waste and increase productivity. Recently in my office, we have lunch from a caterer, and by the time the lunch comes, there are about 6 plastics for one person. So for instance, if you want to sell wachi, the rubber, that's the outer one, there's rubber. The takeaway is plastic. The wachi is in the macaroni is in another plastic. The gari is another plastic. For your plastic spoon. So at the end of the day, when we finish lunch for the day, the whole office is full of plastics. And you ask yourself, where are these people going to dump those plastics? It's a very big question that we all. But unfortunately, when I asked the admin that, so how can we get to start using paper? I said, what's expensive? Can you pay? I said, yes, we have to look at it. So it's a very good thing to do, but it comes at a cost. Just before I mounted the stage, I was reading an article by one Marco Bettini. He wrote in the Sloan Management Institute, and he was talking about sustainability, who pays the price. Because sustainability or sustainable sales practice comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. So we'll talk more about it. Then also it involves customer satisfaction, which I have spoken about. These are the key elements. Ensuring that the customer or the consumer that you are satisfying, so the customer or the consumer that you are meeting their needs is satisfied. Yes, everybody wants to buy. Let me not use cheap. Everybody wants to buy at a relatively moderate price. But the point is that if you want to produce sustainable products, it comes at a cost. And is your consumer or customer, is your consumer ready to pay the price for that product? It's a question that we'll answer as we go along. So, in the era of sustainable sales practice, there are a few things that we can look at. I will not speak to all of them because my colleague panelists will touch on a lot more. But I will pick on a few of them. And then we'll also touch finally on the challenges that you will face when you want to implement sustainable sales practice. Because don't forget, it comes at a cost. We are not going to come and talk about theory. At the end of the day, it's money. So we need to be real to ourselves. That yes, it's a nice topic to have. It's a nice thing to talk about. But the truth is that it comes at a cost. So one of the things that can help us, or one of the sales practices that you can implement in the era of sustainability is about leveraging on technology. Whether we like it or not, technology has come to stay. And even there's now talk of AI, there's ChatGPT. And now, when you just type or you say, who is this? You can even tell you a whole lot about yourself. So for those of us who feel that technology is coming to do this thing and I don't want to learn, it has come to stay. It has come to stay, so we don't have a choice. We have to be able to move the way we do things and make things more technology friendly. Because at the end of the day, if you don't take care, you'll be left behind. Because technology has come to stay. So how do we utilize inventory, sales tracking, and other CRM tools to be able to track our sales and make things more efficiently? Gone were the days when we write sales invoices. I remember my days in Kumasi. I see a friend with a friend when we used to write invoices. But now, why are you going to store all those invoices? That becomes waste for you. So now we are going with Android phones, digital stuff, and then you need to, because that makes things better, makes things efficient, and it's one of the sustainable practices that you can employ. Talk about sales automation as well. Anything that will make things easier. But don't forget that these things come at a cost. Understanding consumer behavior and expectations. If you want to implement sustainable sales practice, these are some of the things you need to do. Because that consumer or the customer that you are selling, you need to understand their expectations. You need to understand what influences their purchasing decisions. So you as the sales organization need to work on do your research and get data, get facts. Because one of the problems that we have as Ghanaian businesses, or as Ghanaians typically, in quotes, that we do things out of gut. But then when you, if in the era that we are moving to, you need to at least make decisions based on data, facts. By so doing, nobody will go and start somewhere and say, this guy did this. At least you took a decision based on the facts that you have on the ground. And it is very important. And we need to move from the era of by experience, I know this. What is the data backing what you're saying? If you want to implement sustainable sales practices, one of the things that we need to do is take decisions based on facts and data, and not gut. So we'll speak more about it as well. Then sustainable sourcing and supply chain management. We have one of the panelists who is very strong in supply chain, a senior colleague, and is currently a very strong commercial person. He will speak more about sustainable sourcing and supply chain management, because that's one of the things you need to do. How do you source for raw materials sustainably? Ensuring that you are even working with the right suppliers or vendors who are certified in the era of ISO and all the technical stuff. Yes, because for those of you who have European and American affiliation, you see that they constantly come into the audits and reviews as well, and they look out for those things. There's an example where some guys came from Denmark and they said they want to see where we source for cocoa. And after they went there, they also wanted to see where the people buy their beans from. We had to take them to the farm, and they saw some school kids there. And the farmer said, "That's my child." So, no, it's child labor or child trafficking, that kind of thing. So it's come to stay. We can shake our head and smile, but that's what it is. So we need to see how we can also source for raw materials more sustainably. And then supplier partnerships, collaborating with suppliers who prioritize sustainability, also reducing environmental, the carbon thing that I spoke about, reducing carbon footprint is also very important. Because, again, whether you like it or not, there will come a time when it will catch up with us. So the earlier we start thinking about and start implementing things in that direction, the better for us. I think I'll end here. I hope I have not bored you and I've said something sensitive to everybody. Thank you very much.
So to join Paul here, I have Isaac Dowuona here. He is Assistant Registrar, Marketing, Media, Events, and Student Engagement Lead at UPS. So please give him a round of applause. Next to him is Mark Mensah-Aban, who is also the Sales and Distribution Manager, Middle Belt, Casaprelco. Please give it up for him. Yes, he's a fine gentleman coming up from there. Please, a round of applause before. Also to join us upstage is George Nkansa. He's a manager. Nkansa. Oh, right, that's good. Nkansa. George, please forgive me. He's a business manager, Ghana and Central Africa, BIC. What's BIC? You'd answer that, right? Sure. And the last is Lee Ford. He's the head of regional sales for Olam Ghana. Please give it up for him. Right, I think I'll be comfortable here. So when Paul was talking, he made mention of some thematic areas, and I said that is what we'll be having conversations on. He made mention of the challenges. We looked at supply chain, and he also mentioned consumer expectations and market trends, and then also the innovative approaches that we can adopt as people in the FMCG. Paul, let me go this way. You made mention of plastics. We know that plastics is very expensive. I think we have that conversation in the office and to say that I think that we need to use the leaf. The wache leaf. Not necessarily wache leaf, but the green leaf. But you know, that one also comes and then they put it in the disposable pack, right? It's all plastic. Just give me in a line or a sentence. Is that correct? What do, in your opinion, not necessarily do with the paper, but what can we replace that with? Is that possible?
Thank you very much. I think one of the options that, going back to my story that the lady brought up, was that can we encourage everybody to bring some bowls from the house, or we'll buy bowls for everybody to start with, so that can always be washed. Or you can use plates in the office, but then somebody has to wash it. That's why I said that everything sustainability comes at a price. There'll be either, it's not always monetary, there'll be sometimes where it has to involve a human effort, but at the end of the day, something has to give. And that's one of the things that we need to do. Yeah.
So my look into the overcoming the challenges that we have in the FMCG market. what would be some of the challenges that you would envisage in the sustainable, in practicing sustainability in the sales practices? What kind of challenges do we envisage? Mark.
Okay, thank you. Now, one of the things that, one of the difficulties or challenges of we salespeople in trying to put up a sustainable sales practice is how we're able to determine or how we're able to know the changes of buyers' behavior. Because it's an FMCG and because we have a lot of variety, people switch their taste and preference at any point in time. So if you are putting in place any practice or any tool to help you sell better, then you need to be able to track the changes of this taste and preference of our customers. And we know it's not that easy. Even look at vehicles and other things, people want to change their vehicle any other time. So whatever we are putting in place, the challenges that we may face will be how to be able to solve the changing patterns of consumers and their taste. That will be one. Another major challenge that Paul also spoke about will be cost of implementing these tools that is going to help us to be able to sell more or to be able to sustain the practice. Now, he made mention that we salespeople don't like to write, and it's true. We don't want to write. I mean, it's too much of a problem to me. But how do we solve it? You need to put in place some tools, some software, and that comes with cost. And you go to the boardroom and tell you don't have budget for that. So that is a major challenge. We'll go into how we can go about it and overcome it. But this is a major challenge that we'll be looking at. Another challenge will be how to monitor and measure some of these tools that we put in place. Because sometimes we're using, for Casaprep, we're using an Intuit execution platform. And if I tell you the cost of it and how to operate it, because we don't want anything that will take too much of our time. So how to use it, how to implement it is a challenge. And sometimes ourselves, we don't want to develop. Some of us, I manage a team where if you ask them to do any presentation in Excel, it's a hell. So you, the manager, will have to do everything for them. If we ourselves want to be sustainable, then we shouldn't be a problem to ourselves because most of us are not developing. Most of us, we don't want any new thing. Some people are even afraid. And like you said, now we are even moving to AIs. So you yourself will have to prepare yourself and develop yourself. So these are few, but the challenges that we envisage in trying to put up a sustainable sales practice. Thank you.
I believe that there are a lot of challenges that we also have as we're sitting down. A lot of things are running through your mind as to the challenges that you face in the FMCG market. Now, my other question has to do with the supply chain and then resource management, right? Transportation and logistics, we know is very crucial in the FMCG space. Now, how can these two help in the sales practices to make it more sustainable? Because we're looking at logistics, we're looking at transportation. They are two different things. So how can these two help?
Okay, thanks, Mina. I hope I can be heard well. Okay, so FMCG is one of the only few industries whereby there is information flow and physical flow. So you have forecasting where you guys or sales team will cascade their forecast to the supply department, and then they will pass it on to procurement, and the factory will produce. And then you have the physical flow where the logistics come in and transportation. So logistics and transportation borders on three parameters. One is cost, because I tell people that we cannot ask anybody. I mean, I used to work with Nestle before, and Unilever, all the guys. You cannot ask all the guys to come to Tema to buy from your factory. That's why you need logistics, you need transportation. You need to ensure that the goods get to the clients efficiently and in a very good condition. So there's cost involved, and if the planning does not go well, you need to do a lot of deliveries. If you don't know what is the rate of sale, for sure your customer will be supplied, and then she runs out of stock, and then you have to reorder. What does it imply? There's a lot of shipments, there's a lot of movements, and this is cost. What does cost to? We pass on cost to consumer because the company will not take the cost. Another parameter of logistics and transportation is on service level. So if you under forecast, you always run out of stock. And what do you know? If you don't get your goods in shop right, and you are out of stock on the shelf, somebody else will take it. Competition will take your space. So you keep losing space. So two parameters, cost, service level, and then the environment, which is the sustainability bit. The more trucks that are on the road is a lot of emission. So you don't want to be the supplier or the manufacturer who always have your trucks on the way and there's a lot of carbon footprint. So it all boils down to trying to mitigate the cost, the service level, and the environmental impact by ensuring proper planning and coordination. Thanks.
Wow. So it means that in everything that we do, there's planning, there's coordination. Those are the two words that I picked. But when Mark was talking, he made mention of AI tools, innovation, and all those things. My next question has to do with Grant. What are some of the innovative ways, to adapt, to be able to sustain yourself as a company in this, thriving FMCG markets that we find ourselves in?
Okay, so here, I think that the whole sales sustainability concept, drives around how you are able to be innovative. That will make your growth, profitability more sustainable. So look, someone would ask, why do companies exist? We exist to make profits, to grow. Okay. So what are the challenges that would impede your growth and profitability? Okay. One, you look at your route to market. How are you able to reach the final consumer? Are you getting the right reach? The type of distributors that you manage? Are you going through the from you to wholesale to the retail to the consumer, or from the business to the KDs? I think that a lot more businesses have now migrated up to the KD system, where businesses are more structured. Okay, they cover well demarcated territories, routes, where sales are measured at a granular level. How many outlets have you been able to cover in a day? What SKUs and all? So those are some of the measures that you can adopt, to ensure that you drive your growth. Do you look at sales capability? Just move from just knowing how to sell and ensuring that at the point of sale you win, into building business managers. Are your team able to know which type of SKUs and brands that they need to sell? We are not only selling, knowing how to sell today, but to be able to sustain that, grow the business. Every business has a line of SKUs, products, but within that, there are fields that drive the huge GC. GC is like the gross contribution in terms of profit. So if you embed in your team that commercial acumen, right from the planning, the volume planning, how many cartons that we need to sell, 50% of our follows must come from this SKU. And all. So that processes must also be there. Then you look at relationship building. Okay, now we are just doing transactional sales to a more of a relationship. Okay, look, I'll buy from you because I have that rapport with you. I have been in a lot of accompaniment with my team somewhere, Lagos, where once we got there, okay, we realized that there were a number of vans, sales people have gotten there before us. You know, this retail outlets, always busy, and before my guy got there, hey, you are here. So that shows you the kind of relationship that, yes, you have. Okay, and that will transcend in your volumes. Okay, listen to you more, and when you drive that more, okay, you even become a business manager. Any company that goes to such a customer, okay, you are the first person that you call. That my friend, have you heard about these people? Can you check for me if it sells and that? So that level of innovation, okay, building relationship from just a transactional thing. Then should I go on? Oh, it's okay.
Grant, if I give you the space, you go. So just hold. Let me cast my mind. You know, consumers, our preferences and expectations is sometimes on the high. Not sometimes, but always on the high. And in FMCG, you know, the product, if I use this product and I feel that it didn't meet my expectation, I move on to the competitor. Is that it? Right. But I'm also thinking, are there some things that we need to address to be able to meet the expectations of our consumers as we are in this FMCG market, that something comes and it goes within a twinkle of an eye? Because one, I'm not okay with the packaging, I'm not okay with the branding. But can you give us some things, just one or two things that we can see that, okay, fine, hey, we are meeting the expectations of our clients or our customers. Can we do that? Sure.
I think so. One of the things I would say is that when it comes to sales, I tell people that when it comes to sales is a calling. Respect to the expectation of meeting the expectation of the customers. I realize that in this time and era, the customers have become very very knowledgeable. And also, for example, one of the things we need to look at is the issue about you being very transparent. Formerly, we talk about things, the end justify the means. Now, it is not just like that. The process, not just the part, but the how is very, very important. So customers want to know what are the processes, not just the finished product, but the processes that the product went through to be able to get that final product is very, very important to them. So being transparent, the information you provide on the product, gone are the days, most of the time, you don't even take time to, but these days, before they go back, they just, by the press of a button, they can check and see whether what you have written there, it's actually the case. So being transparent in our practices and also the information about the product is very important. And also you can see that there's an increase, there's a high demand for sustainable product. Okay, so we have to ensure that the product that we are supplying are sustainable. In terms of, what I was saying, in terms of whether the packaging, you're mentioning, the packaging is reusable or it's able to, is biodegradable, or they can refill, all those things come into play, so that you'll be able to meet the expectation of the customer.
Let me do a follow-up question. No, let's look at the market trends in and around the world. Are there some that we can adapt into the FMCG operations?
I think so. For instance, currently you'll see a lot of collaborations because companies and organizations are trying to minimize the waste and also to share best practices. So you realize that wherever you are now, others have already been there. So why reinvent the wheels if people collaborate to be able to learn the best practices? That will help you to be able to minimize your cost and it will enhance your profit, whilst at the same time you are minimizing the waste and then you are not negatively impacting on the environment.
Right, so
Okay, let me just
right.
add something to it. Now, nobody in the line of production and sale, nobody is closer to the customer than the salespeople. Now, if you want to know what consumers want, it is the salespeople. And one of the challenges that we've gotten is the integration between marketing and sales. And sometimes the research team or the innovative team, they can meet without even calling the salespeople. Now, the kind of information that the salespeople have is worth more than 1 million research. Some marketers will sit in the office and propound. I'm a marketer, I'm a chartered marketer. I'm not diffusing anything, but I'm saying that in most of the cases, in most of the marketing research that goes into product innovation and all these things, salespeople are left alone. You realize that the marketing manager will go and represent, and the salespeople are left. And then after producing, they will bring it to us to go and sell. It is high time that we change the narrative and we change the certified consumers, then research will have to start from the salespeople. We should have a stake, we should have a say, and we should lead that discussion.
Wow.
Sorry, let me also buttress that point. Yes. Okay. That journey has started today. Okay. That we are going to ensure that salespeople are ahead, right? Before, it was said that sales only starts when there's a finished goods or service or an idea. Okay, but now that has changed. Okay, we must be part of the process. The conception, okay, the ideation, okay, the pricing, okay, even what type of packaging, okay. But look, a lot more brands have exited the market prematurely because of this challenge. Okay, and I don't want to name any brands so much that I have been part of it, both Ghana and somewhere. So that narrative must begin to change. Okay, we must champion that cause that the salespeople must be part of the boardroom.
Wow. Salespeople, Paul, hold on, I'm coming to you, so hold on. You are the managing director here. My point is that, are you treating us the salespeople well?
You see, when I realized that.
Hold on. When there's a management meeting, is the sales person called to the management meeting or just the sales manager? Sometimes they don't even call the sales manager, I'm lying. Because they feel that our place is outside. We don't belong to the roundtable discussion. And sometimes it's very hurting. Very, very hurting. Because if I don't go out and I don't bring in the money, the company doesn't have money. But let's come back to remuneration. Hold on. Salespeople, are we being treated well in terms of remuneration? Paul, you are the managing director. That's why I'm just pushing those questions to you. And then indirectly telling you that we should treat us well. Please,
I have some of my team members here, so yeah.
Please, Allah, please, are you here? Allah.
Okay.
Thank you.
When Mark mentioned that, I just took my mind back. I was a salesperson as well. But let me just offer advice, because in the boardroom and as the chair of the management meeting, whatever, you take decisions based on the facts that you receive. Leadership is all about decision making. Yeah. So when you are fed the wrong info, you are bound to make the wrong decisions. And that's where most MDs and GMs have problems with salespeople. Because we are fond of submitting, when we are asked for market intelligence, we are fond of submitting it either late or half done, or sometimes based on guts and a feeling and what you experience in some cases. So for salespeople to have more stake and more relevance and more say in the boardroom, we need to start doing things differently. One, we need to be the speed to execution, getting the facts right and on time, also getting the fact and the numbers to back whatever points that we are making. Because before the marketeer comes into the meeting, they've gone to buy some data, they have all their facts and they come in. Supply chain guys, I know, are very astute with their numbers. They are putting their, when you give us this forecast, we gave you this supply, you say you deliver this demand, you didn't come up, so we will produce again. Where is your fact? What are you standing on? So those are the kind of discussions. And for the finance guys, they're just waiting, they're the last to speak. Okay, they sell, so who pay? So that's why when it gets to you, the leader or the chair of the meeting, you take the decisions based on the facts you have on the table. So if a salesperson wants to be heard, please let's start one. The speed with which we bring our data. The data it should be facts. It should be on time, and it should also carry weight, so that we can have more stake on the bargaining table.
Isn't us always getting revenue, or target, delaying that? Isn't it? So, please, I'm a sales and marketing person, so today, yeah. Mark, let's marry two things together, right? Let's look at the recommendations and the strategies quickly that we can marry to be able to get into the sustained. Because I know that there's a lot of questions that we want to ask, and I want to do this quickly so that we can give room for that. So marry these two things for us, and let's quickly.
Thank you very much. So just to start from where Paul ended, it's because most of the time the salesperson or the sales manager is a multitask person and trying to see to everything. So sometimes when you give assignment, it's very difficult for us, but even though we may come late, but sure we'll give you the right information. But that is the reason why we are looking at sustainability. How do we put in place measures and things that will help us get accurate data, analyze, and we can use those data decisions to make informed decisions about data. So it's imperative that we put in place some sales automation platforms that is able to capture information so that you don't have to order the salesman to market. Because we don't have the time to write a report, but we can go into the system and then be able to pull all the information and even generate report. So one of the things that we can put in place to get this decision quicker and accurate is to put in place some sales platforms that will help us to be able to gather this information and this report in time, so that the salesman can focus on selling and not report. That is one. Number two is to put in place some KPIs with the use of this. But trust me, I don't want to be in the shoes of Paul, but you can spend millions of dollars to buy this platform, and we the salesmen will not use it.
Is it because you're not getting adequate training?
So let me finish. Yeah, let me finish. So we need to put in some KPIs that will help us measure the use and the importance of this, of whatever that we have spent money, and that will help us to be sustainable. It's not a one-off thing. So that is very important. Number three is also to more like, if I ask all of us sitting here, how many jobs have you changed within the last 3-4 years? I'm sure all of us would have changed one or two. It means that our turnover, as far as we are concerned, is very, very high. And so if you want to put in place practices that are sustainable, then we need to put in place measures that will help keep the sales force. And I'm talking about incentives, I'm talking about recognition, I'm talking about personal development.
You know, you mentioned something like tools, grants. What are some of the tools that we can adopt, right, in making our work easy, sustained? Just quickly give me two or just one. What kind of tools do we need? Some of us in the FMCG, what tools do we need that would help us in solving a problem in the FMCG?
Okay. So, I don't know whether I can make my last point on the other.
Right.
Yeah. Like what Mark and Paul said. Okay. Now we are talking about sustainability, right? Key partners of every business, okay, partners are the customers and the sales team. Sales team becomes our internal partners when they are treated well. Okay, like Mark said, we need to be able to get more recognition, salary, incentives. Two, the more we grow our customers, okay, this is our growth, because aggregation of your customer growth obviously would deliver a sustainable growth for you. So that in mind, we need to focus on those areas as well. Not only going to sell, but we need to ensure that they are also coming back to the tools. After that, today, so I'm able to know what a team member has done in a real time. Okay, just because of the adoption of the Salesforce automation. I know how many SKUs that have been sold, how many outlets have been covered, what time he made the first call, what time he left the market, what was the insight, what was the promotional materials that the salesperson issued, and everything. Okay. It also helps them to gain real-time insight. Okay, for decision making. With the same technology, now distributors are able to confirm deliveries online. Okay, POD. Okay, be able to ensure your POD is done, proof of delivery, what time, what drivers sent the stocks, what were the issues. They are just able to confirm that. They are also able to confirm their statement online. Okay, we've developed an app. So before, an audit person will have to travel across the country to ensure confirmation before such a customer could be billed. But now, with the touch of a button, that is done. So it helps us to deliver our sales in a more effective and efficient manner.
Right. George?
Just a quick one. There are specific tools that you can deploy. I don't want to mention so that I'll be advertising for any company, but you have the SAP, and normally that is a platform that most companies use that integrates all the departments. So it's not only sales, so that we will know, we can even track the supply chain, where for the final ETA time and all those things. SAP is very common, and so you can decide to deploy that. For sales, you can have the Salesforce automation that I've already mentioned. We have other books that can suit your needs, so you don't just go in for any platform. you first of all have to discuss it with whoever is given to you so that they can suggest the best platform that you can use. I mentioned that we use an in-trade execution for the trademarks, where when they are on the field, they can capture all the necessary information. You know exactly where they are, what they are doing, and capture all the what you want them, and also generate reports as well. We have Spotify for retailers to be able to manage inventory and other stuff. So there are lots more, but find out, ask questions before you request for them. Otherwise, you throw a lot of money away. So it's very important that you find out what suits your company. Thank you.
Sure. Let me go back to George, because it looks like we've been sitting on for quite some time now. In the supply chain environment or industry, bringing it back to the FMCGs, we have some practices, right? So the practices and then ways, I don't know if I'm combining the words very well. Practices and ways we can adopt that in the sales environment or practicing sales in the FMCGs, we can have a more sustained environment to be able to practice so that we can be very free and do our work very well. Are there some practices? Right.
Can you hear me? Sure, there are. And I want to, ask a rhetorical question following what you said. That for all of us who are salespeople in FMCG, if you could ask yourself, some of you are seniors, so the customers that you managed like 10, 15 years ago, are they still existing? You know, and the ones that you have now, the current practices that you have, are you going to see them in the next 10 years? Will your children be able to even work for the companies that you are working in now based on how we manage the customers? So that is the question that sits with all that supply chain is. And I know that in most companies, salespeople they don't have the strength in supply chain, or we don't look at, Paul mentioned, everybody said that we are just looking at the number and we want to deliver the number. Meanwhile, we have to think about ways that we will sustain the business and we will keep the customers also. Just last week, I had a customer I managed a few years ago, and she called me and said, look, the way we were managing the business like 15 years ago is the same way we are doing, and now I'm struggling because I can't cope. So supply chain is very key when it comes to FMCG, and all that it achieves is optimization. So what does optimization mean? You don't need to have too much and you don't need to have too little. You need to have a right balance. So it involves planning, and I go back to my first point. There is a concept which is called the bullwhip effect, or when you throw the whip to the bull and you see it increase. So this is how it feels like. In FMCG, what most salespeople do is that if there's a shop here and then there's another shop here, and the shops don't have stock of this bottled water. So when the customer comes to buy, or the consumer or shopper, he asks this man, do you have Mont water? The guy will say, I don't have. And the same consumer will go to the next shop to ask. The customers or the retailers will count these as double. So they feel that this person feels, there's a lot of demand now. The guy also feels there's a lot of demand. So everybody tries to increase their demand. Meanwhile, consumption, food, if you didn't eat yesterday, in Nestle they have the famous saying, if you didn't eat yesterday, are you going to eat twice today? It doesn't work like that. So nobody will say that I didn't eat yesterday, so today I have to eat what I lost. If you lose it, you lost it. So the problem that we have in sales is that we always try to think while selling, we think in consumption as well. And that is why you will realize that you would easily move from being out of stock to overstock. Suddenly there's a lot of demand. Look, we cannot have enough to sell, and then we cannot sell. And when you cannot sell, what happens? There's a lot of cost which you don't see. So there's a warehouse cost. If you have freshness, the goods will expire in 1 year. There is also a freshness cost, and when you cannot sell, what happens? We have to destroy it. So there is a lot of planning that will have to go through improving the best practices in supply chain. And it starts with your supplier, the company, and your customer. So we have to be interested as sales leaders in the full spectrum and ensuring that the right forecasting is done. Because if your supplier is supplying you, and Paul mentioned it, they are not using the right practices, what do? They pass on the cost to your business, and then your business will also pass on the cost to your customer. So the topic is on competitive FMCG. So to what extent in today's Ghana can you increase price if you are accumulating a lot of waste? So the most essential thing I will talk of is on planning, and it's for salespeople to take interest in planning and what number goes in. And let's look into our customers' practices as well. Because your distributor that you're managing, they say they are not profitable. Meanwhile, they're leaving their air conditioning on. There's a lot of energy waste in their own offices that you could help them mitigate it. Because he or she can't keep increasing price. We know the threshold that consumers can buy. There is a lot of sachetization. All of us in food and even in detergents, we are all having sachet, a lot of plastic waste. So we have to take leadership in recycling as well, so that the business will be sustainable. Thanks.
Sure, I kept you for the last. Right. So I know that we have a lot of questions, okay? So we're going to use this few minutes that we have. I know you have questions. Please let's do and then ask questions. But please clap your hands for them. They've done very well. I hope that they've said something that has addressed a problem that you're going through. So we'll take 2 questions from the other side, 3 here because we are many here, and 2 here. So we're doing 2, 3, 2. That's about 2, 3, 2 for the first round. So please help me with the microphones, take it around. And right. So you've got a question. Anybody up for a question? Please, as a gentle. Okay, so do that. Yeah, do that now. Question? Sure.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Gideon. Maybe I should start so that. So for me, it's not really a question, it's an advice. This is a session for salespeople. I want to advise all of us as salespeople. Do not become the old school, stubborn salespeople. What do I mean? Salespeople do not like to write. Salespeople do not like to submit reports. Salespeople refrain from that. Reason is for decision making. These things are important. You would wonder why people in finance become MDs of companies. You would wonder why people in supply chain can become MDs of companies. You would wonder why people in other disciplines are becoming CEOs. But salespeople are not, because you just believe that no, our role is to sell. Yes, your role is to sell, but contemporary salespeople understand P&L. You understand how revenue is generated. You also understand all the things that go into expenses. A contemporary salesperson understands that although I need this incentive, I need a salary raise, I need this and that, you must understand the link between all of these and sales. If you don't understand all of these things, you come across like an activist rather than somebody who fully. I'm talking like this because I'm a CEO myself, and I deal with all the different people from sales to marketing to all of, so I quite understand what Paul was saying. I want to make a decision, and they are saying you would always bring your report last. And we have to make the decision. And then you are saying that we're excluding you from the board. How does that even work? So, my advice is simple. Learn finance, P&L, simple. Learn the business of the business. Understand how everything works in your company. That way, you become very smart salesperson, and quickly you can become the CEO of your organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gideon.
Thank you. So my name is Abisi Kwati. Yeah, so I mean, in the conversation about sustainability, forget to also mention our distributors. And in my observation, I've realized that in the FMCG space, organization, the distributors are treated as a third party of the business. So in the process of innovation, in the manufacturing bit of the business, they are a bit left out. My question is that how do we carry distributors on this journey of trying to evolve to meet the changing times? Because you realize that distributors in quotes are mostly old school people who are a bit slow in adapting into the new thing that we're trying to achieve as.
We do one question here.
Sir, please, I want to find out. So let's say you have been ethical, you have been efficient, and leverage on technology, and you have satisfied the customer. I come from an industry where an accounting is home. That's the insurance industry. So you buy a car, let's say 200,000 Toyota Corolla. You're supposed to pay 10,000 for an 82 hours premium. But the customer will be like, oh, it's expensive. And I'm not sure I will tell you, oh, I'll charge you 8,000. That means something is happening to your ethics. You're not being a professional. So in this situation, how do you go about it? How do you go? Where an accountant is common with ethics? It's not really like it. Thank you.
Please let's make our question snappy so that they can also address it snappy.
It's very good that you raised this point. Now, one of the challenges is that it will be very dangerous to kind of add distributors and third-party or agent in your planning stuff. Reason being that they don't hold allegiance to you alone. And so sometimes for you to be able to plan and move ahead of competition, you don't involve them. However, it is important that you guide them to get the right information that will benefit you as a business. And so occasionally you can be organizing training for your trade partners, wholesalers, retailers, distributors, and try to get the best out of them. Try to guide them to be able to put down information that when you ask them, I mean, those of us in the FM, you go to the retail wholesaler and you even want their average sales for the week. They say, oh, wait, your top, wait, now you ask, so among, let's say, water, Bell water, Away, which one is in terms of volume? They will tell you, oh, how much do you sell within a week? Oh, your top. So you need to organize some kind of training, like, I mean, you have to do so that you can help them or train them on simple keeping of books and those information, so that when you need them, you can. Again, I'll just end with what Prof said. It's very important for us. We are talking about sustainability in practices. But if you yourself, you don't sustain yourself, after all this discussion, you'll be taken away because you cannot meet the challenges of time. So it's important that you yourself develop yourself. Look, I'll tell you from experience, if you are waiting for your company to come and train you, forget it.
Right. We'll forget it.
Supporting what Mark said in addressing Akoshi's question. So that is why in my submission, I said that sales capability must move from just knowing how to sell to building more business leaders. Okay, sales people must understand what they do. They must understand profitability, because once you are growing your customers, okay, your key customers, KDs, the wholesalers, and the retailers, all the channel partners, then you are delivering your growth. The area sales managers must be able to focus on the key distributors. The TSMs and the SOs must manage a number of wholesalers, okay, that would deliver growth and profitability. Then we have the FSLs, OMPs, the VSLs, managing the retail outlets. Okay, they understand. They must know that last month you did X amount, and your profit was this. In fact, we developed something called opportunity to earn. So before the month starts, okay, we know your target per history. And we know that we're able to tell you that when you deliver A, B, C, D volumes, you're able to make this money, which is a growth 50%, 20%, 30% growth over last month. So it's all about delivering growth. Once you get closer to them and they know how much they are making in your business, trust me, you will have to.
Right.
Thank you
So much for that. Can we have the lady from this side, then another person from it, then we'll move to the side, 2 questions, all in 20 minutes. I hope you can do that, because there's also another session, 3:30. Sure.
My name is Nana. Please, I want to ask, with all that you said, they are good, but for me, I think they were all geared towards factory, like production. We are the service, should I say, companies. What can I do to, remain competitive in the service industry? I'm a banker, because most of the things are geared towards production. For my company, for instance, you cannot be a branch manager if you are not a salesperson, because we prioritize sales. We know that in the service industry, it is a sales that moves our figures. And so, looking at, they don't write report, they are like those factory people, the manufacturing people. So I want you to tell me, as a service person, sales person, what do I do? What are some of the things I need to make competitive in this FMCG?
Please hold on to that. Keep the question in mind. A third person from here, then we end here. I know. So the third person, then we move here. If we have time, then we come back. Sure.
All right, so thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Priscilla, Coffee from Farmers Limited, pharmaceutical industry. So my question is channeled to one of the panelists spoke about relationship with our customers. In the pharmaceutical industry, we are into wholesaling, so we offer credit sales to some of our customers. Relationship is very key, but you did mention something. Relationships sometimes have its own merits and demerits. You go to a customer who has, I think you've established a very good relationship with the person. You go ask for your money after, supply. This customer will be telling you, go and come back. How do we address this issue? Though relationship is very key, but how do I address this issue? Using relationship as a key here also, but we need to get our money.
Right. Hi, please answer that question. The first question.
Sure. One about the undercutting. With the insurance.
Banking.
Thank you.
Insurance, right.
Interesting, that's where I started. I started as a sales agent, an insurance agent, so I understand that. The way around it is that you realize that when I was doing sales as an agent, you realize that most of the time we engage those clients for them to compare. You realize that most of the companies that were into so much undercutting, there are issues when it comes to honoring their promise when there's a claims. So you realize that. So we have that discussion and we do the comparison, and then they realize that, like we are talking about sustainability, we are talking about long term and not short term. So you may cut, but you see, for how long can you sustain to do that? But in the case of the customer who is just looking at the cost, you must let the person understand the implications of that, because in the case where you have a claim, it will not come. So it's their interest to do business with those who are ethical or they are keeping to the standards. I hope you get what I'm saying. So you need to engage them and explain the implications of, because every choice has consequences, and they must be sort of aware of the implication of the choices they are making. And when you do that, some of them will decide to go away, but with time they will come back. Because when I started, I used to work with an insurance company, and we were able to gain a lot of businesses. There are others who left, but they came back. That is on the undercutting side. On the issue about the service industry, you see, I work with UPSA, and when it comes to, we provide service as well. The point is that the promise you give to your client, the question is that how well are you delivering on the promise? It's very, very important. Because if you say that, okay, if a customer applies for a statement, you can get it in the, let's say, in an hour. Please, for how well are you walking your talk? Because, for example, recently I needed a statement for a trip and you call the bank, and they tell you, okay, expect it at this point in time. And when it comes to delivering, so as a city, I'm considering even changing the bank. But when it comes to, as sales people, when you want to enhance or grow the business, whatever you have to do, to delivering the promise to that particular person. For example, we go to engage our target market as a university because of, we tell them the reason why UPSA is the best is that is the only place where, irrespective of whatever course you do, you get a free tutorials on a professional course. Free. So when the student, based on what we have told them, if the person comes, how well are we delivering on that particular promise? And in sales and marketing, when one customer is happy, he will sell that story to other people as well. So that's what I was saying.
Let me just do a quick one on the pharmaceutical issue. So what does your credit policy state? How many days are you supposed to give in terms of credit? Now, one of the challenges of pharmacy or medicine selling is that you have to deal with a lot of people. So you have to convince the doctor who is going to prescribe it. You have to convince the pharmacist who is going to prescribe it. You have to deal with the administrator. You have to deal with the finance person who is going to pay. Sometimes the doctor will accept that he wants to prescribe, or the pharmacist will say, okay, it's good based on the potency or whatever. And then they will ask for the stocks. Meanwhile, the one who is going to pay is not aware. So whilst you are selling, you need to know who is going to do the payment. Very key. And then please stick to your credit policy. When you stick to your credit policy and then they fail, then the company can take it up. Again, almost every business is trying to encourage our business partners to use PG or bank guarantees. So if the person is credit worthy, it should be easy for the person to give you a PD check or a guarantee to cover whatever credit. Please let us know who giving credit, because in Ghana here, even if it goes to court, you will still not get the money in with them. So let's stick to our credit policy, and let's, in terms of medicine or in terms of pharmaceuticals, make sure you are dealing with the right person who is going to do the payment. Otherwise, they'll be tossing you. Go here, go to the pharmacist, go to this place, go to that place. Thank you.
So quick one from you, and then we'll take the two questions from the other side.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
What I want to add is that I don't know, you didn't mention if the customers still have the stock on hand or they finished selling. So that's very important to tell. Maybe the person, to build good relationship, maybe your customer has not finished selling. So you could probably take a part of your payment in addition to what Mark said on credit policy. And I don't know if you track they share with you their sales and stock on a weekly basis. So you could have visibility on how much inventory they are holding, so that would be key to know whether they finish selling and they don't want to pay you, or they are sitting on the stock because your sales reps have just dumped the goods. Thanks.
Right.
Yes, so my question is regarding the tools, right? So what do you think is the reason for sales team, right, to struggle using tools, right? Because there are a lot of times where they actually buy these solutions, right, but then they end up not using it. What do you think is the cause? Is it fundamental in terms of like how we are trained from the onset before entering into sales, or within our educational system? So that all these beautiful tools, when you look at all these big institutions and the kind of values they get from these solutions, you have businesses buying these solutions and not being able to maximize it.
Please, who will take it?
So,
so please,
listen.
hold on. You give, and then quickly Lee would add to it, and we'll take them two.
All right, thank you. So I want to do it now, and I'm a salesperson. Sometimes we, the salespeople, will frustrate the process. We will, because we don't want to use it. We don't want to work with it. Go and capture specific information. Some people go and I work with you go to the outlet, the information the outlet names that they should even capture, you go there, you don't find the outlet there. So we ourselves are our own problems. I think it is somebody's mind who use it in developing it. Yours is to learn how to use it. Why can't you use it? And for me, if you walk to me as a manager, you say, I can't use this too, can I be trained? Why won't I train? Because if you know how to use it, it will ease my work. So let's open our minds that we want to be trained and develop ourselves. And I'm not sure it's difficult to use any application if you decide that you want to use it. And me, if I can't use it, the IT people, that is why they're also there. They won't sleep. You will teach me because I need it.
Sure.
So let us open our minds that we want to learn more. And like Paul said, I mean, we can't always say we will not do reports, we will not do.
Sure, Lee, a quick one.
So I think earlier, Isaac was saying that sales is a calling. Okay. Beyond the calling, okay, I think that sales also comes with the credibility.
Exactly.
Okay. That's very key. Okay. And the right attitude and the mindset, okay, to deliver your executions. That's very key. Look, personal examples. Those salespeople who refuse to lead that agenda of adaptation, okay, from those era to date, currently are nowhere to be found. So once you're a salespeople and you want a salesperson and you want to grow, these are easier tools for you to support your executions. But sometimes, look, that's why I said sales comes with credibility. There are things that a salesperson may do on a field that he or she wouldn't want the office to know or the person to know. So once now you have a device that will capture every detail of your operation.
Don't like it. You don't like it.
Every detail. How many outlets that you covered, especially when it comes to promo materials. Okay, once you issue that, let's say buy 10, get 1 free, buy this, some deals and schemes and all that. Okay.
And we share it to family members.
Okay. So the only one to yes. So the salesperson would frustrate you. Otherwise, these are very important and useful tool that automate your operation, makes your work very much easier.
Right. Thank you. Let's take the 2 questions here and then we are done.
So, I have 2 questions. The first one is in a sensitive area, pricing. My question is, what should be the primary guide to determine prices in our current economic dispensation? One may say cost, right? But it's likely that if you follow cost too much, you may probably price your product out of the market, literally bury the product versus competition. That leads to the second point. Should businesses share costs of production or business operations with consumers, or transfer the entire cost on the consumer? In George Nkonza's submission, he mentioned that companies are not really willing to absorb all the costs. But the question is this sustainable, considering growth objective and business profitability in the long run or the long term? My second question is on AI. Of course, AI is taking the space, from order generation, invoicing, sales forecast, among others. It is good, of course, it makes work easier, faster. But there's also the concept of garbage in, garbage out. So it becomes a very sensitive area. Now, we have had instances, even in my company, where salespeople are saying products are out of stock. Supply chain people are saying, but you give me the data. And it's based on that data that I gave to production or whatever to do produce the product. So if it is out of stock, it means that I didn't get accurate data from you. Now, Mark in one of his submissions mentioned that his team is not even conversant with Excel. In another submission, he also mentioned that the sales team, of course, it's important for them to use an app to capture relevant data to guide business decisions. And in a recent submission, he also said that if you are waiting for the company to train you, you may be dreaming. Now, what's the plan as sales leaders? Do we want to invest in our salespeople and train them well? Or do we want to invest in expensive apps to capture data so that we can be guided to make the right business decisions on production and whatsoever? Or we want to outsource to maybe an agency, dedicated agency to support us with that? Thank you.
Let me quickly say that there's a fear that if you train the sales leader, he or she will run away. Is that it? Paul, you will address it in your closing remarks. Next question, please.
Hello.
I think it was 2 or 3 questions in one. 3. My panelist. I'm not serious. Into 1 tougher. Quickly, let's address it and then.
In terms of pricing, prices, like you said, cost of production plus percentage of profit. And because businesses exist to drive profitability, that you cannot forego. Now we all know that income is challenged, okay, in this economy currently. So one of the ways that I think that either we can maintain price, okay, or reduce is 1, try to reduce the pack size or the volume of the product that you said you offer. And I've seen a lot more businesses within the Fmcg sector that we operate. A lot more brands continue to adopt that strategy. by maintaining the price, because cost of production has gone up. Of course, the dollar would always affect your operations, and the more it goes up, the higher it hits you. So those are one of the key areas that I think that we can adopt. I remember somewhere we used to have a product, I don't want to mention the name, it's 88 gram. Okay, now the same product we are selling at 57 gram at the same price, from 88 to 57. Okay, and we're okay. Our margins are very good, and we're in business.
George, please address that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I was not going to say anything different. It's actually shrinkflation and skimflation. When you have
repeat what you said.
Shrinkflation. When you have an inflation, you shrink the quantity.
Sure.
Or skimflation. You know, you could actually. This is why companies have a lot of pipeline projects, and you have to get involved. What is a pipeline project? There could be some ingredient which is not so, which you need to replace, that will make your cost come down, you can contain it. So this is why we need to get involved. Somebody, you've seen, I mean, in Nestle they have replaced malt with hops, and they come with cocoa. You know, all our efforts to make sure that you can contain the price and look for a raw material that's available to you. Ben. It's okay.
Please, one question, yes.
Our discussions have been very insightful, but it seems like all your exposures were geared about 90% towards the productive and then the delivery sectors. So just at the tail end that you touched on, this was also by the insurance industry. So I'm asking, are we in the wrong session? Next time,
Okay, so sir, you are not in the wrong session. So we had the please, you're not in the wrong session. You have the option of choosing sessions that you wanted, and I'm sure this is what you choose. So exactly that. So you're not in the wrong session. It's rather, you know, FMCG has to do with products. Exactly. And so that is why the conversation has been manufacturing, production, and then all that. But I'm sure you picked something from it with regards to sales, because you're in insurance. Quickly, thank you.
Please, let's invest in our salespeople. I've been part of top management for 5 years, and all the fights that happens in the boardroom is between the sales head and then the MD. Salespeople are not taken care of. We don't even, some companies don't want, I've worked in the manufacturing, I've worked in the automobile, and I've worked in the pharmaceutical industry and the banking industry. See, they don't even want you to mention your problem to them. And it is very bad. Sometimes when you see your colleagues that some companies have invested in and the results they are producing, and you see the raw salesperson who has worked for over 5 years, who has had no training, and you expect the person to provide the same results, is unacceptable. I have another question. I have another plea. Please. Me, I want to be a CEO. Currently, I'm the head of sales. So, what you spoke about P&L, I manage my own P&L. My department, we manage our own P&L. But what I've realized is some MPs doesn't have any connection with sales. So they don't understand. So please, MDs, also learn sales and understand us. Thank you.
about the training bits, the remuneration, and right, so we'll take last from this side and then we end the questions. They will still be around. If you have any questions, you can ask them. So please, last question.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Issa. I want to make a comment on the service industry with regards to customer promise. I think what I mostly ask myself when I see a customer promise is that what is the cost? And the reason why I'm asking is that, and I'm in the insurance industry, so we promise a lot. It's a service industry, so we pay claims within, then the time will come. The question is, what is the cost if you fail to deliver on that? Now I saw a pizza company, and I was so excited about their customer promise. They read that we deliver in 20 minutes or we pay for it. That is the incentive to deliver the promise. Otherwise, then, if you don't deliver, and mind you, the promise always comes after the payment has been done. So if you fail on the promise, we have your money already. But what is the cost to push organizations to deliver on the promise? And I think that should be something that is part of the KPIs of the back office people. So that whoever is making sure that that promise is fulfilled, the person will know that there is a cost to it. So if I fail to deliver within this is how much I lose. That's one way that can help us to drive customer promise. Otherwise, it's just a banner or a logo or a tagline, and customers will not be satisfied. Thank you.
Okay, so just a quick one. I don't want, this is a maiden edition of whatever we're doing.
Yes.
I don't want it to be a talk show. I don't want it to be like we are coming here and we are coming to complain and we leave here. Because believe you me, nobody is going to give this information to your CEO. Now, what I want us to do is let's find solutions. So, just to say a little bit on what my brother up there said. Your development starts with you. The ideal situation is that companies are supposed to invest in your development. But if they are not doing it, let's start it. And you can even start it from your performance appraisal. That when you go and sit down with your bosses and they are praising you, all we look at is the numbers. After the numbers, we don't ask any question. They ask you of your development, you don't do that. So imagine all the salespeople put in their personal development needs in their appraisal. I'm sure HR will pick it up. And if you don't do anything, make noise and get yourself trained.
Okay, please quickly address that. Okay. Hold on, Lee has the microphone. Lee, quickly.
Yes. Okay. My boss you are in the right forum because the session today is sustainable sales growth. How are we able to deliver that? And look, investing in our sales team means that we are investing in the sustainability of that business. And as a salesperson, okay, as a sales head, that journey starts from you. And because you are a salesperson, you should be able to sell this to your MD. For him to buy, for him to understand, for him to know the end from the beginning. Otherwise, look at the businesses that invest in capability, in training. How is their execution out there versus those who are not? So try to use all those scenarios, okay, fact-based. And because we are salespeople, everything that we say must be backed with facts, numbers, current happenings on the market, and all that. And if we are not able to do that as a salesperson, as a sales head, okay, then I think that we need to look at ourselves.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Quickly.
What I would say will not differ much from what they're saying. For me, one of the things that has kept me in the field of sales and what I do is a philosophy that my old girl, my mother, shared with me. She said, if somebody if you wash somebody's cloth and the person doesn't pay you, at least your hands will be clean. Because we don't know what opportunity will come next and what the requirements are going to be. When I work in Nestle, my vehicle is a university on wheel. I'll always have audiobooks. When I'm traveling, I have audiobooks. My colleagues will bail me out. If we say we are waiting, fine, it's an ideal thing for the company to do that. That is one side. Whatever training they have provided for you, you come up with like the data, how that has impacted what you do. And the fact that with more training, how it could triple whatever you are doing. But on the side, make sure you own your own training. Make sure you own it. I buy my own books. My vehicle always has audiobooks, so I don't listen to. Once I'm going, by the time I get to this place, I'll finish one book. So please own your own training, because we don't know what opportunity will come and what the requirements are going to be. And most of the thing I do also by voluntary. Before I joined us, let me share my story. My senior colleague is here. I didn't know how to drive. I finished university, I didn't know how to drive. Whilst I was at the university, I was volunteering for an NGO. And one of the requirements, they said, okay, to be an administrator, you should be able to drive. And I paid and learned how to drive. Do you know that when I joined Nestle as a national census, when it came to the time where they were going to confirm us, one of the requirements was an ability to drive. Why did I learn that? Because I was not waiting for Nestle to teach me how to drive. I volunteered for somebody without being paid. I learned how to drive. So when the opportunity came in Nestle, I was ready. So I want us, whilst we wait for the ideal situation, let's own our own training and our capability. Thank you very much.
George, address the issue of Ebenezer and then touch a bit on it so that Paul will take the rest and then close us.
Ebenezer talked about insurance, right?
Yes, about customer promise.
Okay.
And cost. Quickly touch on that and then
okay, first let me talk about, I was keen about that one. So I've seen salespeople who have worked in some FMCGs and their company is not that advanced like other companies. And sometimes what I can't understand is that, so they know that they work in a tier 3 company, and there's another guy who works there for a Unilever who knows all the training, or who has benefited from a lot of training, and they never like go to them. I've worked with somebody in one of the companies I work, whereby he has sat in an MBA class with a guy from Nestle, and when I see this guy's output, I'm asking myself that, so you were sitting with one of the best guys we had, and you could never tap into his training or his templates or etc. So look, all of them have said it, it's in your hands, whether you want to be anything in the world. First is you. I've sat in meetings where people are at the back and they know so much that the core management team for the region will say, I think those guys should actually come in front. Why? Because they knew so much and they were well equipped. So you can go learn from other colleagues on the field. When I was in Koforidua for Nestle, I knew Unilever guys who come to our office in Nestle and they try to share best practices. We all learning from each other. So first is the terrain. You guys are lucky that your team members are always on the terrain, and the guys in finance, they cannot easily leave office and go to another company. You are on the field all the time. You can steal some 1 hour and go to another place with your colleagues and then just learn from them. Anyway, I think that for this question has to do with pain points. When you are doing your value proposition canvas, you are looking at what is the pain point for the customer, but we forget to look at the pain point for us. So we create value for companies for consumers on their pain point, but his point is very valid that we need to look at what is the pain point for us and what is the cost for us, and for sure there will be some believability from consumers. Thank you.
Yes. So, Paul, there's a lot you need to address. Please do that for us. And then in a matter of 2 minutes or 3 minutes, then let's wrap up we take pictures in.
Thank you very much. I think it's been a wonderful session. Can we give ourselves a big round of applause? Let me say that the issue of sustainability has come to stay globally. So we don't have a choice. Whether you decide to welcome it or embrace it now or in the future, you will still have to start thinking sustainability and implementing sustainable practices. That's one. So that has come to stay. The bit of salespeople wanting to rise and talk, CEOs listening to us, and all of them. Let me start by saying that it's a matter of choice on our part to be able to develop ourselves. I think 5 years ago, I spoke to a group of scientists who had just joined an organization. And they were very happy about it because it's a big organization. And they were very enthusiastic. But then the point is that they were looking forward to getting their bosses to pushing them. And I told them that your career is in your hands. That's the first thing. You can decide where you want to end in an organization the day you start. They say, oh, but the options are not there, but they are there. Your growth and your development is in your hands. Let me tell you, the opportunity will not always come. But when the opportunity comes and you're not prepared, so that's how we will do our best. I believe that every organization wants to have sharp brains. For me, I try to employ the people who are better than myself, because it makes my thinking faster. Don't forget, I started by saying that leadership is about decision making. And if you have people who are, sorry to say, daft, giving you the fact to take the decision, then you have a problem. So we'll continue to invest in you. Thank you very much.
A round of applause for Paul, Lee, Mark, Isaac, and George. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you all so much for coming here for this session. We are most grateful unto you. We'll take pictures now with the speakers, and the conversation still continues. So they will be around. If you have any questions or any suggestions, comments, clarifications, please reach out to them, and then they would answer all the questions. Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for ourselves and our panelists. Thank you so much for doing this with us. It has been successful, and we are so much grateful to you.